Right outside of the Giants training facility, the 2025 rookie minicamp for the Giants just concluded. It was a good 2 days, actually really interesting. Like yesterday, downpours, raining, made everything go inside underneath the top. And then today, absolutely gorgeous conditions outside, but some definite wind. I want to talk about some things. It's not going to be a deep dive because obviously they didn't have on pads, but definitely saw some things that I was looking to see, and I want to talk about it with you here. I'm Coach Gene Clemons, and I have a giant issue. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of A Giant Issue. I am Coach Gene Clemons. New York Giants on SI. That's where you get all of your New York Giants news and information. Make sure you go over there and check everything that we're doing over there out. We are lots and lots of stuff going. Most indispensable player series that we do every year. That's about to drop soon. The position groups and what we can expect going into training camp. And then obviously our 90-man roster preview where we go through every single player on the roster. You're going to see things from myself, from PT over there, and all of the New York Giants on SI crew. So definitely make sure that you go and check that out. Check out what's going on over there. So I came into town for the Giants rookie minicamp, and the weather was so bad yesterday, right? It was raining so bad that it took me a lot longer to get into New Jersey than I thought. And because of that, I missed the introductory press conference with Brian Daboll. And that was on day one. I was a little bit bummed because, a lot of people might think that I don't like Brian Daboll as a person, and that cannot be further from the truth. In fact, we had a really good laugh today. I asked him that he seemed to be more jovial on day one. Like he seemed to be more into just happier, right? And he kind of came back and was like, "What you mean? Like I'm not always happy and blah 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 blah." But he was joking, right? But that's kind of and I'm not here to tell you that Brian Daboll and I have a relationship, but when you're in this business, it really feels as if you have a different level of understanding, or they do when they know that you have done something within the game before just like being a media member. And I think he can tell I played football. I ask questions that are more football related normally, but we had a good chuckle about it. And then afterwards, he kind of bumped me and slapped my hand. And then we went out to practice day two because that's when I got to speak to him, before day two practice. But went out to practice day two, and after day two practice, came off the field, and I was like, "Hey, that's 2 days in a row, happy faces." And he kind of, gave me an elbow again. So I think that that's something that we get lost in when we're talking and evaluating players and evaluating coaches and even the GMs. Like, how I personally feel about Brian Daboll has nothing to do with these shortcomings that I think he has experienced while being the head coach of the Giants. I actually think Brian Daboll's a good coach. Like, I don't think he's a bad coach at all. I think that there's been moves that have been made from a coaching standpoint where you would go, I don't know if that was the best decision. Like, I don't know if that was the way to go. I don't know if that was the way that I should handle things. But I have to remember that this is Brian Daboll's first time being a head coach at any level. And I don't care whether you're the head coach of a youth league football team or whether you're the head coach of an NFL team. It takes some getting used to. It takes some understanding of how to comport oneself when you are put into the position of head coach. And the decisions that you make aren't always going to be right. and you live and you learn. Hell, for whatever we can say, right? Bill Belichick might be the GOAT of all GOATs when it comes to coaches, right? I don't think he's the GOAT. I think that is Nick Saban, but I'm willing to have the argument. If somebody says it's Belichick, I'm not going to argue. What I think is the most interesting thing about Belichick and his tenure with the Patriots was how bad of a talent evaluator he was when it came to the college game. Just look down their drafts and look at how many players on their team never got to a second contract with the Patriots. Look at how many players on their team never turned into starters on their team. And it'll tell you that sometimes you're just not good at certain things, right? So a lot of what is going to end up being the defining imprints of Brian Daboll as the New York Giants head coach is going to depend on how Jackson Dart performs. It's not even Abdul Carter. I really believe that Abdul Carter could fail as a draft pick. I don't think he will. But because there is a Jackson Dart, a quarterback, and the fan base is wanting a quarterback, the ownership has talked about wanting a quarterback, somebody to come in here and be the face of the franchise. The fact that they doubled down on Daniel Jones, if it doesn't work out for Brian Daboll, it will most likely be because Jackson Dart did not work out. And that's sad because it's going to be like a black mark on him as a football coach in his tenure as a Giants football coach. But also, that's the game, right? The game is the game, and that's what he signed up for. He knows it. Nobody's surprised by it. So it'll be interesting how that goes. Now I'll say this. For first impressions, Jackson Dart looks like he's going to be fun, right? He has personality. He seems to be a little loose, right? Right now, it's easy to be loose when there's no pass rush, there's no any of that, right? But you have to like those first impressions, and that's all we can go off of. Now, the ball, as live as it looked at the combine when he was throwing, it looked just as live here. It was a windy day, so it was a good opportunity to see him throw the ball. And I will say this, he threw the ball really well. It cut through the air. The guy, Miles Crawley, who is on a rookie training camp invite, who was on one of the quarterbacks here, that dude was throwing the ball as well. Like the ball was cutting through the air. And now, mind you, full disclosure, Miles Crawley, a former player of mine who I got an opportunity to see, right? That was cool, but he was spinning it. And he's always had a big arm, but it was no more evident than today when we watched that ball cut through the air with all of the wind that was swirling out there today. And Jackson Dart did a really good job of delivering passes. He had some short completions. He had a couple intermediate completions. He had one deep completion that was a cornerback, and the cornerback like clearly had a coverage mistake. But what you like about it is that the ball was thrown on time. The ball was thrown accurate. The wide receiver did not have to break stride in order to catch that football. And that's what you need to do if you're going to be the quarterback of the New York Giants. You need to be able to push the ball deep for completions, but then also eat on those completions that are short and intermediate. He had a couple drops. He had another one that was kind of batted away that maybe a little bit more athletic guy might have been able to pick off. We'll never know. It wasn't a pick. It was an overall good day two to stack on top of day one, where he did not, it wasn't that he threw anything deep, because he didn't during any of the actual like team stuff, right? Everything was kind of short and intermediate on day one, but he was getting the ball in the hands of receivers that allowed them to continue to run after the catch. That was impressive. I really thought that for what this is worth, like for what a rookie mini camp is supposed to be, his 2 days were really, really solid. Like really, really good. This is how you introduce. And then he did the thing that he's supposed to do in the media. He said the things that made media members go, oh, okay, that's awesome, right? He asked everybody to say their name. And the entire media room ate that up. They all posted about it. I don't know if he thought about it on his own, or if he had a publicist tell him to do it, or if his agent did. But whatever, kudos, because there's no better way of making an impression than to make the people who are there to talk about you feel as if you care about them as well, right? It gets more difficult for some to say something critical about a player if they like a player. I don't have that problem, right? Like what I feel about you has nothing to do with my critique on whether you're playing, but there's no negative critique for him because he played really well in the environment that this is, right? No pads, no pass rush, just kind of, routes on air, then 7-on-7. And that's kind of like where it was. There was a lot of hoopla being made about snap counts because that became a big deal. There's a lot of hoopla being made about numbers. I don't care about those. It's not really that big a deal. But he was wearing the number 6. I don't think he's going to wear the number 6 in the regular season unless he wants to give up some money, right? So it'll be interesting to see how he matriculates through the offseason, like what it looks like for him. Because I keep contending, if he looks really good once they start putting football pads on, it's going to be really difficult for the Giants and Brian Daboll to say, no, we're just going to redshirt him, right? We've seen it in college where the plan going into the season was to redshirt a player, and because that player just continued to improve or things weren't going the way that the Giants want or that the team wanted it to go, that red shirt ended up getting taken off. I could see that being a situation for a guy like Jackson Dart if he is who they think he is, right? Like, we might want to see him wait an entire season to play, but let's just say hypothetical. If Russell Wilson goes down and they trade away Jameis Winston because the Saints really need a quarterback that's a veteran to come in, and they were able to pick up some valuable draft capital from the Saints. Let's say that happens. Are you putting Tommy DeVito out there, or are you just going to go, nope, the Jackson Dart time is right now? Most likely it's going to be the Jackson Dart time is right now, right? What if the team is not showing the progress from the quarterback position that the staff was hoping to see? Do you continue to roll Russell Wilson out there? Do you go to Jameis Winston? Or do you say, you know what? The time is right now. It's Jackson Dart time. Let's get him out there, right? So that to me is big. A couple of other people that I want to mention. Abdul Carter, the Giants' top pick. He looks super twitchy. Like, he moves around like his burst is different than every other defensive lineman's burst. Now, here's the one thing that I love that Brian Daboll said. He said when he spoke about Abdul Carter, he spoke about him like a defensive end. He didn't speak about him like a linebacker. That tells me that in his mind, he believes that Abdul Carter is an edge rusher, is a defensive end in the making, and not an off-ball linebacker, right? It doesn't mean that he won't be used that way. I don't want y'all to think that that's the case. I'm telling you that the way he was being used and the way in which Brian Daboll spoke about him seemed like, hey, let's get this edge rusher thing popping, right? But they did have him all around the place. And They had him working on special teams. And man, when you watch Abdul Carter in the open field, right? And this is just what I'm looking for in this camp is I was looking for people to look athletic. Like I wanted them to look big. I wanted them to look athletic. I wanted them to look twitchy. Another thing, by the way, going back to the quarterback situation, Jackson Dart didn't look that tall to me. Now, granted, I am a tall, big dude. Like I am the representative of a NFL tight end, right? I'm 6'4". I'm an NFL edge rusher. I'm 6'4". I'm big, right? Like he doesn't look tall to me. Now, I say that he doesn't look short. He's just not like the stature thing. I think a lot of people, I was surprised that his stature wasn't bigger. And I thought he kind of looked a little bit like, hey, you gotta tighten up a little in the weight room. Not tighten up as in work harder, but just like you can still kind of see the baby fat on him. Like the features, the facial features haven't chiseled out yet. They're still kind of doughy a little bit, a little softer. And again, this is not meant to be a diss at all. I'm just trying to tell you what I saw when I had an opportunity to lay eyes on these guys for the first time. Abdul Carter is not big. Like if you think Abdul Carter is going to come out there and look bigger than the other edge rushers, no, he's going to look just like the other edge rushers. Like this is not a guy this is not Garrett. This is not Myles Garrett, right? This is not a giant behemoth of a man who's going to dwarf other people. He's not bigger than me, right? He's not bigger than me. He is extremely athletic. So it's going to be hard to mess with him because he's extremely athletic. He was in the open field doing special teams reps, right? And it was just so remarkable to watch how fast he was. It almost looked like he was teleporting. Here's the one thing I'll tell you. He is way more twitchy than Kayvon Thibodeau is. I think Thibodeau is probably more powerful than he is, but he's way more twitchy than Thibodeau is. He's twitchy like Brian Burns is twitchy, right? Maybe more twitchy. Like that's saying a lot. It is fun to watch him move. He was going through some special teams drills and going through the bags and just watching him dart in and out of the bags quick. It was really fun to watch. It was fun to keep my eyes on him today. I had a chance like when those guys were interviewing, because they interviewed on day one, right? They had their press stuff on day one after practice. And when Dart came by, I told him, I said, hey man, congratulations, but maybe a few more business decisions when it comes to taking on those defenders, because most of them look like me. He laughed. He was like, yeah, you're right. I congratulated Abdul Carter, told him to keep his head down, keep working. The 51 that he was wearing, I know a lot of people are on the jersey things and they're like, hey, I don't like the 51 because it's a Z's and blah, 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 blah. Listen, the moment he walks out there, gets twitchy with it, burns around the corner, and takes down a quarterback, nobody's going to remember Azeez Ojulari. The only time you're going to remember Azeez Ojulari is when you play the Philadelphia Eagles and he does something because he's a good football player. But he ain't Abdul Carter. He's not Carter. And if I ever made anyone believe that he was close to Carter, I apologize. That's not what I was trying to do. When I was talking about Azeez and then going a different route with the number 3 pick, I was saying that Azeez is a really good defensive end edge rusher who has value in the rotation of edge rushers, but he's not an Abdul Carter. So I am looking forward to seeing what Abdul Carter looks like when the entire defensive line and pass rushing is intact. I apologize if you're hearing a lot of wind, but it is windy out here, like I said today. The other thing that I was really impressed by, right? Darius Alexander, he looks like an NFL football player right now. He looks like an NFL defensive three technique right now. He's explosive. He's got grown man strength. He's got a grown man punch. He takes directions well. He looks the part. He talks the part. Everything that you would want out of a guy who spent a long time in college and is going to be 25 when the season starts, right? Like, that's the thing. He's not a spring chicken. He's going to be 25 when the season starts. That means these next 4 years, right, might be part of the best years of his career. I expect to see him, right, unless something changes, start to get reps pretty quickly if when he puts on pads, he looks and has the same feel as what he did out here without pads on. He looked very impressive. Again, very poised. The striking is what really got me. Like, they were hitting the sled, and when he hit and extended on the sled, you saw the arm length, you heard the punch, you saw the arm length, you saw how he could be so demonstrative as a run defender, and that had to make anybody that was watching him excited. He's not going to be your best soundbite, right? But you don't need him to be. He just needs to come in and ball out, and I'll be his soundbite. If he balls out, I'll be the one giving speeches for him. He doesn't really have to buy into it, right? Cam Scatabo, I got to get this out of the way because I don't want people to think that I am down or low on Cam Scatabo. I'm absolutely not. Number one, Cam Scatabo is small. He is diminutive, right? And it's important to note that because we are looking at a Cam Scatabo as the Thunder, right? He is short. He is really small. My good friend and CBS Sports HQ guy, football game plan. Go check out his draft guide that he has out. Emory Hunt is a short back, one of the shorter backs. He is taller than Cam Scatabo, right? Now that that's out of the way, he is well put together. And what I liked yesterday on day one, when everybody was going through the team, quote unquote, team drills and the plays, Scatabo wasn't participating, but he was in the back mimicking the plays as the plays were going on. I asked Coach Daboll about that before day 2 of practices, and he said, yeah, we like to see people do that because the mental rep, some people can pick it up mentally, some people can do it physically. He can do both, and he's a smart football player. And so, it's not surprising to see him do that. I asked him if that was something that they made him do, if that was something that he just did on his own. He seemed to insinuate that was something that Scatabo just did on his own. So shout out to him for making the most of his opportunities when he got them. Now, he was going through everything today. So we got to see him do some special team stuff with Abdul Carter and a couple other people. Black was doing special team stuff as well. We saw him taking handoffs from the quarterbacks. He is a short, when I said bowling ball, I was spot on. Not a wrecking ball, not big enough to be a wrecking ball, but bowling balls knock down a lot of pins. And when they strike right, they strike true. Emory Hunt also brought up something with Cam when we were speaking to him and his media availability. He talked about contact and how not all contact was the same. And it's something that I actually forgot about, but I think is another really good aspect of Scatabo's game, right? He doesn't take direct hits or deliver direct hits. He knows how to take shoulder hits. And so because he's so short, low to the ground, his contact balance is phenomenal. When he doesn't get hit square on, it's hard to bring him down. So if he's taking shoulder hits, that allows him to bounce off. That allows him to bounce off defenders and keep going. I think that's something that's going to be underrated about his ability, along with what I talked about before, which is nobody's going to be able to see him. He's going to pop out from behind this massive offensive line. He's going to then catch a defensive linebacker's feet or a safety's feet flat-footed and be just elusive enough that people are trying to hit him on the shoulders where he can bounce off and make long runs. Like, I really do like the pick. I think he could be a really quality back in this system. It was good to watch him work. But, of course, without pads on, it's really hard to know the great things that you're talking about when you consider someone to be a power back. Marcus Mbow is much bigger than what people think when you see him in person. Again, I am all of 6'4". All of 6'4". He has me by what looks like a half an inch if I'm not counting the hair. He looks taller than me. He looks more like 6'4.5", right? So there are no size issues with him. There is no reason why he can't play tackle. I do, however, still believe his best position is going to be guard, and that'll be interesting to see how that goes along. But I thought he had a really productive 2 days, but it's hard to really talk about because, right, those guys just, no pads. We can't really see. They didn't really do anything as far as like a team run period. They did a couple things, but this just isn't the environment. Luckily, we get to see him during mini camps and training camps and all that other stuff. So he looked good. He looked big. He looked athletic, much bigger than I thought he was going to look. I thought maybe people might have been exaggerating the 6'4". He is every bit of 6'4". He is every bit of 6'4". He looks like a powerful NFL offensive lineman. And so really excited about that. The other guys didn't really have an opportunity to flash anything, specific. Like watching those guys go through didn't really make me go, oh, wow. Juice Wells ran around well, but didn't do anything that was spectacular. A couple of other of the undrafted free agents that I wanted to talk about from the wide receivers, because I thought that's where we really got an opportunity to see some guys do some things. So like I said, Wells didn't do anything like that jumped out to me. Looks like he's well put together. He very much looks like probably a sawed-off version, maybe a little bit more thicker version of Malik Neighbors, right? Not as explosive, but that same type of body type. Bo Collins looks really good, but he definitely looks like a possession receiver. There was a couple times where he had some opportunities for deep balls, just didn't separate from the defensive back like you would have liked to seen him do. I think it's a situation where he's more of a possession guy, and that's okay. That's not a diss. It's just he didn't show what I would have liked to have seen, which was that explosiveness down the field. We'll see how that develops. Daquan Felton, to me, had the best 2 days at wide receiver. He made some nice catches, including being the person on that touchdown pass from my brain just went dead. It'll come back to me in a second. From Jackson Dart, have mercy. That touchdown pass from Jackson Dart, he was the recipient of that. And again, he was trending towards going by the defender. The defender seemed to come off and do something different. The ball was thrown perfectly. He caught it well. He got in the end zone. He did a little dance. And then everybody tweeted like it was the greatest pass in the world when really it was a wide open pass to a wide open receiver that he just caught. But again, the timing of it was good. And if you're watching it sail through the air with the wind blowing and it not fall off or go somewhere else, that was really impressive. I thought he had the best day of all of the wide receivers that were here, because they had a lot of wide receivers that are undrafted free agents or on rookie contracts, like rookie invite contracts. So that was good as well. Everyone else, it was just kind of, it's kind of what it was. Like, it was hard to pay attention to everything because of where they had us situated in respects to the everything that was going on. Like, we only had one designated spot where we could stand, unlike during training camp when we kind of have an ability to be along and kind of move up and down places. We had one place we could stand. We can only record for a certain amount of the periods, none of the team stuff. So didn't get a chance to get any of that stuff recorded. I did get all of the passes that were thrown by Jackson Dart during those times before we got to the 7-on-7s, before we got to the team. So you can see that on my YouTube channel at Coach Gene Clemons. So go there to Coach Gene Clemons YouTube channel. You can see that. I also have some footage of Abdul Carter on there going through different special team stuff. He looks good, right? He looks good. It seems as if he's healthy. I hope that's the truth. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how he continues to progress. It was a good 2 days. I'm happy to be on the scene because I love when I get a chance to get on the field and see stuff with my own eyes. Part of my question to Brian Daboll about, what he thought about being back on the field and why he looked so happy was that I think that the off season is you in the office. It's you, inside a building. It's you doing interviews, but it's not football. And as a coach, I know that my favorite times of the year as a high school coach is spring football, when we get back on the field, and then when we're able to really get out there and do stuff in the summertime, because we're on the field and we're, it's teaching, it's learning, it's competing, it's all the things that we can do together. So I think that you could tell that there was genuine happiness in the air. I don't know how many of as I'm talking to you right now, I don't know how many of the invitees will get a contract to come in for for training camp. But I do think that all of the undrafted free agents that were around will probably be around for training camp. I also think that these rookies, all of them, have a really good chance of making this team. Like, Corey Black looks like a veteran cornerback. It'll just remain to be seen how well he looks versus a more elite level receiver play. So it was a great 2 days. Fantastic to be down here. Looking forward to giving you guys more content as always. Make sure you go to the New York Giants on SI. Check out all of the stuff I'm doing over there. Like, make sure you check it out. Make sure you get to it. Make sure that you're patronizing it. We really appreciate it. Definitely come here. Hit that subscribe button. 5,000 subs. That's what we're trying to get to before the start of the new season. Make sure you go and subscribe, or go and hit me up on Twitter at Gene Clemons, Instagram at Gene Clemons, anywhere at Gene Clemons, Blue Sky. Go and follow the Coach Gene Clemons YouTube channel, because that's where you're going to start to see some of the videos and things that I'm doing as well. Because, diversity and diversifying one's portfolio is a necessity. So until next time, I'm Coach Gene Clemons. I have a giant issue.